It started with a knock no one expected, a polite, ordinary sound that would echo across a quiet coastal town for decades. Rule number 1, always check who's really knocking. The night Laura Hayes died, the person at her door wore a neighbor's smile and a borrowed voice. That small mistake, a brief moment of misplaced trust, cracked open everything that followed. Laura Hayes had moved to Harbor Lane for the kind of life people imagine when they think of coastal Oregon: fog-soft mornings, a porch that caught the last light, neighbors who waved from picket fences. She kept to routines: the grocery run on Thursdays, a habit of drinking chamomile tea at 9, a lamp left on in the hallway until she fell asleep. She trusted the rhythm of the street. Rule number 2, routines are comforting and predictable. The killer relied on that predictability. Someone who watched Harbor Lane learned when lights went out, when the mailbox emptied, how the holiday ribbons came down. Patterns are maps, and they led the perpetrator straight to Laura's front door. When the call came in the morning, it was a neighbor who found the porch light still on and the door slightly ajar. At first, everyone believed in an accident, a fall, a sudden illness, because that is the story small towns tell themselves to keep fear at bay. But small inconsistencies accumulate: a shoe at an odd angle, a hallway table disturbed, a window with a drip of mud. Those details turned an ordinary morning into a crime scene. Rule number 3, look for the details no one wants to notice. Detectives will tell you the smallest thing, a scuff on a banister, a missing tea bag, becomes a thread when you tug it. Harbor Lane's copper mailbox had been open that night, but not by the usual hands. Smudges on the latch revealed a palm that didn't belong to any neighbor who came forward. Local law enforcement arrived quickly. They cordoned off the house and called in the coroner. The town sheriff, a methodical man with a low voice who had been on the force for 20 years, treated this like an invasion of a private life. He asked the same weary question: who would want to do this and why? Rule number 4, motivation is messy. It's rarely the neat revenge story people crave. Often it's a blend of opportunity, anger, and the brittle ego of someone who felt entitled. In Harbor Lane, fingers tried to find a shape to the motive: a lover, a dispute, a grudge, but the evidence refused to be neat. The investigation revealed a neighborhood of familiar faces and private silences, people who kept to themselves more tightly than the town assumed. Laura's acquaintances described her as kind, a little reserved, someone who rarely locked her door for dinner errands. The word friendly echoed through interviews, and in that word hid a vulnerability. Rule number 5, familiarity is a dangerous currency. People who know you best can manufacture trust. The person at the door used that currency: a greeting, a reference, a detail meant to disarm. It worked. Forensic traces told a partial story: fibers not matching Laura's clothing, a footprint in the mud outside that bore a brand not commonly sold in the area, a cigarette butt found behind a neighbor's picket fence with a saliva profile that didn't match anyone in the immediate circle. DNA databases moved slowly then, but they offered fragments, a possibility rather than a certainty. Rule number 6, science is patient. It can hold a promise and keep it, waiting while lives move on. The scrutiny of labs, the calibration of machines, the careful chain of custody. Each step either preserves truth or erases it. In Harbor Lane, some evidence remained stubbornly inconclusive. Rumors are the town's oxygen. They expand to fill the vacuum left by unsolved questions. Someone said Laura had been seeing someone secretive. Others whispered about a man who drove a dark truck and watched the street when lights were low. Names were suggested and denied. A neighbor's late-night blunder was scrutinized, then absolved. Each rumor created a new face that might have been the killer. Rule number 7, guard your stories. In the absence of closure, stories mutate. They become weapons and comforts. For the family, rumors or knives. For others, they were an explanation that fit an uneasy heart. The sheriff's team interviewed dozens of witnesses, cataloged alibis, and followed dead-end leads. They examined financial records and phone logs, traced credit card transactions, and re-interviewed people whose statements had once seemed plain. A man from out of town, someone who had come and gone with the tide, emerged in the investigation. His van had been seen idling on Harbor Lane weeks before. The sheriff's files show a flip in hope whenever a new lead appeared, a familiar rhythm of expectation, then disappointment. Rule number 8, hope is not evidence. In small-town investigations, hope becomes optimism laced with desperation. Detectives must remain impartial. They must weigh facts, not wishes. That balance proves difficult when the community is watching. As months turned into years, evidence accumulated and stalled. A composite sketch was circulated in local papers. A man came forward with information after seeing the sketch, but the tip led nowhere. Old phone records surfaced, showing an unknown number that pinged near Harbor 1 the night of the murder. But the number was prepaid and anonymous. The trail often ended at anonymous accounts and rented vehicles. Rule number 9. Some doors stay locked because we lack the key. Not every mystery yields. The system can only do so much against time, lost witnesses, and the erosion of detail. Laura's family felt the weight of unresolved questions every day. Birthdays became reminders of what was missing. Her sister fought to keep the community's attention alive, starting small memorials, hosting neighborhood meetups, and pressing the sheriff for leads. Grief in Harbor Lane took on a public life. Anniversaries pulled crowds that came to place flowers and to watch for answers that did not arrive. Rule number 10. Memory is a light you must keep trimmed but never extinguish. Families bear this duty not only to find justice, but to keep the person whole in the community's memory. When answers don't arrive, memory becomes the measure of resistance. Years later, cold case investigators would return to Harbor Lane with new tools, improved DNA analysis, genetic genealogy, and digital forensics that didn't exist at the time of Laura's death. They re-examined evidence, ran new searches, and pursued distant relatives who might reveal a familial connection. Those techniques have solved cases elsewhere, sometimes quickly, sometimes not at all. Rule number 11. Technology changes the playing field, but not the human stakes. A new algorithm can't comfort a sister on an empty birthday. It can, however, give a case fresh air, a second chance. Despite the reopened inquiries and renewed media interest, the case resisted closure. Leads frayed out. The man with the dark van remained a known unknown. DNA profiles sat in databases waiting for a match that never arrived. The town adapted. Fences were painted, porch lights left on, and neighbors began to lock doors even during daytime errands. Rule number 12. A town can change its habits, but not its scars. Harbor Lane learned caution at the cost of innocence. People walked more quickly to their cars. Conversations at morning coffee shifted from recipe swaps to watchful glances. The unsolved status created its own legacy, a community tethered to a story that could not be concluded. Podcasts revisited the case. Amateur sleuths combed public records. The case became an outline that others tried to fill with their own shadows. Each retelling risked distorting the truth. Each careful retelling tried instead to honor the victim. Rule number 13. Respect the boundary between curiosity and cruelty. True crime thrives on details, but the people involved live with the fallout. Storytellers must be mindful of the humanity behind the headlines. Tonight, years after the knock, Harbor Lane still sleeps under fog. The porch light that once changed hands stands as a small beacon, a reminder that ordinary sounds can carry extraordinary consequences. Laura's family keeps the lamp lit sometimes, a ritual against forgetting. Rule number 14. Keep the light on. For unresolved cases, letting memory burn steady is a form of witness. In the dark, a small light is also an invitation to the truth, if it ever comes home. There is no tidy resolution here. The files remain open. The sheriff still answers calls when new information comes in. The unknown is not a lack of effort, but sometimes a reality of limitations. Harbor Lane's story is an instruction manual of caution. Check the knock, question the familiar, treat small inconsistencies as clues, and never let the silence of an unsolved case become silence about the victim. Rule number 15.